2 miles away, and got out of the car, and I heard the ding on my phone, and there were the results. It was crazy fast. So I don't know if it's that specific company or Florida in general, but they were doing it right. Now, as far as masks go, if you want to go to a place where everybody's wearing masks, don't go to Florida. Nobody was wearing masks. We went to Gatorland in Florida, which was a hoot. Granted, it's for little kids, and my husband wanted to go because he remembered going there as a little kid. And it was great. I mean, they had all kinds. I mean, more gators than I've ever seen in my life. Good. And those things are kind of nasty. Let's be perfectly honest. Nasty in a they could kill you kind of way. But we're walking around, and it's basically a theme park. Not a mask. Nobody wearing masks. So that was kind of weird. And then in Georgia, when we were in North Georgia, the one thing that I noticed there was not a lot of masking, although more places did request it. But otherwise, if you were just going door to door, whatever, there weren't any masks. But the one thing that I noticed in both North Georgia and Florida, we were in on Treasure Island and St. Pete, kind of that area. The one thing that I did notice, holy cow, I had never seen so much Let's Go Brandon merchandise in my life. You could not go into a store, or I'd love to go into when we're different places to see what different areas of the country have and that kind of thing. And we would go,
yeah, see.
We have like a hat or a shirt or a bumper sticker you could buy. It was creepy.
Yeah, see.
Had made, like iron signs that you could put on your door. And went, okay, well, we definitely know what political part of the country we're in right now. But it was, things are markedly different in that part of the country when it comes to politics and when it comes to politics. As far as what you see on a regular basis. It was just night and day from what you see in California, that's for sure. All right, when we come back, we are going to talk with ABC Sarah Isker. She posted a question. So how do you think in 20 years or 50 years we will look at the January 6th attack on the Capitol? Are we going to see this as highly political? Are we going to see this as disenfranchised voters? How will people look back on what happened as we approach the anniversary of that attack? So that's all coming up with Sarah in just a second. Right now, let's take another look at your drive, and it's slow on the 101.
As you're making your way southbound, you'll definitely see a little bit of a slowdown on the northbound side of the 101, getting out of Encino into the Carson area. Southbound side of the 101, not looking too bad for your drive. Still about 14 to 16 minutes for you off the 405 at a terminal to make way toward downtown and the 110. Problems for you in Chino on the westbound side of the 60 at Reservoir. It's a traffic holding a good rig. Everything clear to the right shoulder. Actually, it looks like PHP is getting that off the freeway altogether. But 60 westbound, you will definitely still see delays from as far back as Mountain. So give us some more extra time getting out the door this morning, even though lanes are clear. Or you can always plan for the 10 out of Upland through Montclair and the Pomona Fairplex area. That's all looking pretty decent for your drive. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
Okay, my 2021 resolution was to lose 20 pounds. Well, only 30 to go. And now, the top 5 reasons to visit Orlando. Number 5.
The playoffs are upon us. With a little wall of big screens and sidelines, the college to pro, the only place to go is Verizon.
Number 4.
David Spade, live January 14th. Get your tickets now.
3.
Find your new favorite game in the new year. We've got over 4,000 golf teams and dozens of fun table games.
And the number 2.
Hey, with points. You pay to get them, so you decide how to spend them. Get gas, food, and gifts with your rewards points.
And the number 1 reason.
We don't mess with the recipes at Wahlburgers. Mark, Danny, and Pep Pie won't stand for it. It's the family business.
Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Less than 90 minutes from wherever you are. Morongo. Good time.
SoCal weather from KFI. Looks like we've got another cold day on the way. And we've got winds on the way as well. So temperatures are going to be a lot like they were yesterday. Just the upper 50s to very low 60s. And we're going to drop back into the 30s and 40s again tonight with winds on the way. We leave local. Live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom, I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee.
If you own a business and manage to keep 5 or more people on the payroll through the pandemic, there's a new government program that will pay you tens of thousands of dollars per employee. And this is not a loan. This is a grant. The challenge is getting your hands on this money. This is a bureaucracy. InnovationRefunds.com cuts through the red tape, helps you get the cash. They do all of the legwork. They don't charge a penny until you receive the money. And what they do is simply share a percentage of the money they get for you. They got my business a 6-figure refund. Now, their average client gets $250,000. That's impressive. Go to InnovationRefunds.com, click on the Qualify Me button, answer a few questions. InnovationRefunds.com. It's no risk, and it certainly is high reward. InnovationRefunds.com. They help me. I'm sure they can help you. InnovationRefunds.com.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with a little tip for a healthier planet. It sure feels good to step into a warm car after letting it heat up for a few minutes. However, this practice wastes gas, increases emissions, and pollutes the air. Limit idling your car to no more than 3 minutes to save money at the gas station and improve air quality. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth. Please all alone. Fire Mike.
KFI AM 640. 24-hour news. More stimulating talk.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Welcome to a Tuesday. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, and some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. LA County has seen delays in ambulance response to 911 calls because more employees miss work due to COVID-19. Health officials say people should see their doctors to get treated for mild COVID symptoms. An Orange County Deputy DA and former candidate for a seat in the state assembly has died of COVID complications. Kelly Earnby died Sunday. She was 46. And the woman once called the next Steve Jobs could be facing 20 years in prison after a jury found Elizabeth Holmes guilty of knowingly misleading investors about her company's blood testing technology. Her company, of course, was Theranos. Right now, let's say good morning to ABC's Sarah Isker. So, Sarah, this is an interesting question. As we approach the anniversary of the January 6th attack, you start to think, are we a little forest for the trees on this one? We might know how we look at what happened at the Capitol right now, but in 20 years from now or 50 years from now, how does history look back on what happened at the Capitol and who was at fault on that day?
Yeah, and I think that's the question. I think right now we are looking way too close at the fault. And this is not to say that there aren't people at fault. The Department of Justice has indicted 700+ people. I think 70 at this point have already been convicted. Yes, those people are at fault. No question, not excusing it. But, as you said, I think if we look at a bigger picture lens here, something else starts to appear. You know, ABC did a poll last week, and it said that 68%, only 68% of Americans believe that Joe Biden was legitimately elected. Of course, that's been driven mostly by Republicans. And this is being pointed to as like, see, it's Republicans, it's January 6th, we have a problem with half the country. But if you go back to 2 weeks after Donald Trump was elected, ABC asked the same question. Was Donald Trump legitimately elected? It was 74% who said that he was legitimately elected. That, of course, being driven by Democrats. We have a problem, and we're watching the erosion of self-government, and in some ways it ends the experiment we've been running for 230 years. And if we're too narrowly focused on, see, Republicans are the ones who did January 6th, I think we're missing the fact that both sides are very capable of undermining the legitimacy of self-government, and January 6th will happen again in 2024 or 2028. And I think historians will judge us very harshly for being way too narrowly focused on one half of the problem.
Where we should have been focused on that erosion overall. So they're almost saying that we're putting a Band-Aid on this. Like, oh, that's just easy to blame that. Stick a Band-Aid on it, move on to the next thing. But I guess then this also questions what happens in 2025 and how do you prevent something like the January 6th attack from happening again?
So I think there's one easy fix, but it's a very small one, and it's not going to fix everything. First of all, we've never agreed on what happens after a contested presidential election. The last big one we had was 1876. It kind of looked like Bush v. Gore, actually. It all came down to Florida, amongst a couple other states. And so in 1888, Congress passed something called the Electoral Count Act. It is indecipherable. One of the sentences is 275 words long. I counted every one of them. 19 commas. And I've been practicing attorney for a long time, and I cannot tell you what that sentence really means. And neither can anyone else. If both sides can agree ahead of time, before the election is contested, on what the rules are, before they know who the rules will help, I think, first of all, that will just go a long way in building some confidence for everyone. But will it fix that? No, because the problem is not, of course, that people think that Joe Biden wasn't legitimately elected in that real sense. They think that their voices aren't being heard. They think that half the country has become radical. Both sides think that, and that's why we're seeing people, increasingly young people, and it scares the hell out of me, say that they won't be friends with someone who voted for the opposing party's presidential candidate. That's not good. And again, I hear them as to why, but I think increasingly we will look back on this time, see that religion declined, activities in civic organizations declined, and what replaced it was social media and a religion of politics.
Okay, and I think one of the scariest things, going back to what you were saying, that scares the hell out of you, it does at me as well. I know I have strong friends on the left and the right. I mean, for goodness sake, I lived in the Bay Area for years, and now I'm living in San Bernardino County, where you've got a lot of people who are very far on the right living. And I think that the thing that okay, let's put it this way. I would like to be cautiously optimistic about your solution to it, thinking that if we could just go ahead and agree on what the definition is in the first place, that maybe we can move forward on that. But I can't get along with my neighbor because they don't vote for the party or whatever. How in the world can we get Congress, which couldn't be further apart, to agree on anything?
Right, and then it doesn't matter about the contested presidential elections if we are so fundamentally apart from one another. And what I found is when you ask people, why have you stopped being friends with this person because of their politics? It's like, well, they don't think my life matters, or they don't think I should have the right to vote. It's a caricature of what that person actually believes. Someone may believe in voter ID to vote. You may think that that's a bad idea, the policy on it. But to say that therefore they don't believe you should be able to vote, that's an extreme characterization of why they believe that. And it's a lack of curiosity, and it's a lack of engagement with the other side. And if you do polling, actually, both sides, but the biggest partisans on each side are more likely to believe that the other side is more radical than they are. And it's a problem, and the Electoral Count Act isn't going to fix that.
No, and that's unfortunate that it won't. And I feel like I just hope that 20 or 50 years from now, not necessarily am I so focused on how we look at it, but I want to know what we learned from it. And please let us have grown from what happened last year.
Agreed.
Sarah, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. See you later. ABC's Sarah Isker. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that, I'm not going to call it a mistake because those people who attacked the Capitol did not make a mistake, for God's sake. But when something happens, aren't we supposed to grow from it? Aren't we supposed to learn from it? And if we cannot do that 20 or 50 years from now, I mean, how horrifying, honestly, is it to think that 20 years from now, we are going to be as divided as we are right now as a nation, politically. Whether it be in Congress, in the partisan divide, or it just be neighbor to neighbor, as Sarah was saying. That's terrifying to me. I hope that we can learn from it. And yes, like I said, I have some of the leftist friends and some of the rightist friends you can possibly imagine. And yet, I absolutely love them both. And I absolutely think both are crazy. But I absolutely think that their crazy has the right to go to the polling place. And vote crazy, in my opinion. That's their right. And she's absolutely right. Once we start taking that right away, or saying that just because somebody doesn't believe what I believe, that they shouldn't be able to vote, or if the vote ends up going a different way than the way I voted, then it's not legitimate or whatever, that's really scary. If it can be proven that the vote went one way or the other, and it wasn't, and it was fixed or something like that, then good, bring that to light all day long, absolutely. But otherwise, the vitriol, I just hate that. But, it's out there. I'm Pollyanna, right? Okay, I saw this story on page 6 last night that Vicki Lawrence of the Carol Burnett Show, Vicki Lawrence was also on Mama's Family. Do you remember that show? And occasionally, Betty White would appear on Mama's Family. So Vicki Lawrence told page 6 that she contacted her co-star and pal Carol Burnett as soon as she heard that Betty White had died. And she said, I texted Carol, this just sucks. I hate this. It's horrible to see the people you love so much go away. And Carol wrote back and said, I know. I spoke to Betty's assistant who was with her when she passed. And the assistant said the very last word out of her mouth was Alan. Now, why is that important? Because Betty White's late husband was Alan Ludden, and she uttered his name, apparently, Ludden, I'm not sure, uttered his name moments before she died. And Lawrence wrote back to Carol, how sweet is that? God, I hope that's true. For all of us, I really hope it's true. It's a lovely thought. And I read Valerie Bertinelli did a tribute on, I think it was Twitter or Instagram, something, about, Betty White, I'm paraphrasing here, but it said something about, God, how bright, my God, how bright must heaven be today? And I thought, what a beautiful way to put it. Oh, Betty White, you will so be missed. And I posted on Instagram, JJLKFI, one of my favorite quotes from Betty White. Everybody needs 8 hours of beauty sleep, 9 if you're ugly. There'll be never be another like her. All right, here's another story for you.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Investigators in Oklahoma are looking for a Grinchy delivery person who dumped hundreds of packages right before Christmas. Police say they got a report on New Year's Day of about 600 Amazon packages that were found in a wooden area. Many of the packages were opened. But officials are working with UPS and USPS to get unopened items delivered. How could you do that? Not only did you dump all the packages, but you went through them like, yeah, this is a good one. Don't need that one. Oh, this one's good. Sweater for mom right here. Just horrible. All right, when we come back, can you guess which U.S. automaker is about to take over the top spot for sales? And I'll just tell you, GM has been in the top spot for eons. Maybe not that long, but it's getting knocked off its high horse. And speaking of cars, would you drive a car with a seat made from mushrooms and table scraps? I just feel like that car would smell. I know it wouldn't, but I just... Starbucks has a new vaccine plans for its employees, and remember when you could go to Little Caesars, get one of those hot and ready pizzas for $5? Not anymore. Those stories coming up in just a second. But right now, let's get back to your drive and Nick's checking the 91.
As you make it through Corona, nothing in lanes, knock on wood. There was an earlier problem quickly in and out of lanes. 91 westbound around Surface Club. Everything's clear from lanes, but still going for you overall. 91 westbound from before Lincoln as you make way past Green River. What the lanes there were earlier on the westbound 60, they're gone because that earlier wreck, 60 west at Reservoir in the Chino area involving a big rig has been cleared from the freeway. Maybe a smidge of slowing for you 60 westbound as you approach Reservoir, but really that's about it. 57 southbound coming off the 60 through the Diamond Bar area as you make way into the Brea Canyon. Could be patchy delays for you as you make way toward Brea Canyon Road and then further southbound along the 57. Not looking too bad as you continue ahead through Fullerton to the 91. Getting busy for you out of Commerce and East LA on the 5 northbound. From before the 710, you'll feel the pinch as you make way through Boyle Heights 5 north towards the 101. Kfi Am, the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Poliochini.
Rates subject to change without notice. Minimum loan amount and certain restrictions apply. 50% loan to value and sub 40 FICO credit score. First lien only. This is a dramatization. Cash out will vary. Subject to credit approval. NMLS 3290. Loans made or arranged pursuant to a California financing law license number 6036970. Equal housing lender. Can you believe how much the Garcia's house sold for? I know. Home values are so high right now. I wish I could pull about $50,000 from my home's equity without selling. You can. We just pulled cash from our home's equity to redo our backyard this summer. We used IntelliLoan, and get this, our monthly payments actually went down. IntelliLoan offered us a 1.99% rate and APR with no points or lender fees. Wow, 1.99% with no points? And no lender fees. Hello, new pool. Take the number. It's 800-918-6200. 800-918-6200. Or just go to IntelliLoan.com. IntelliLoan. Borrow smart.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Looking to save money this year? Look at Allstate. You can get the protection you need at the low rate you want. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
The Lakers finalized trading Rajon Rondo to the Cavs. By adding the Knicks to the deal, LA created an open roster spot. The Raiders are dealing with more drama ahead of their season finale against the Chargers. Raiders cornerback Nate Hobbs was arrested for DUI. And the Steelers beat the Browns in what may have been Ben Roethlisberger's final home game. Roethlisberger threw for a touchdown as fans chanted, "Thank you, Ben," in the closing seconds. I'm Misty Jordan.
Download the DraftKings app and use code SPORTS to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
I've always wanted a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor?
Hey, neighbor. Mr. Rogers passed along friendship in his neighborhood, hoping we would do the same. So let's get started. Friendship. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at Values.com.
As the experts in transmissions for over 50 years, there's nothing at AMCO we haven't heard.
So when I hit the gas,
It's just a belt.
And nothing we can't fix.
It's going. What's that?
From transmissions to brakes and everything in between. No credit? Finance your repair at AMCO. Exclusions apply, may not be combined with any other offer. Limited time offer, participating centers only. People who know go to AMCO. AA MCO.
More than 1 in 3 people will face cancer in their lifetime. Unfortunately, fear can stop you from getting cancer screening, but it won't stop cancer. Early detection can save your life. Don't wait for symptoms to appear to act. Cancer screening is safe, effective, and accessible for everyone, including free or low-cost screening programs. Go to CancerScreenQuiz.com now and take the American Cancer Society's 2-minute cancer screening quiz to find out what screening tests are right for you. Don't wait. Take the quiz, get screened. Go to CancerScreenQuiz.com now. CancerScreenQuiz.com.
Celebrate the new year with a resolution you can easily achieve. Address hair loss and regrow your own natural hair with the same simple one-day treatment that I received from Advanced Hair. Get your free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts at AdvancedHair.com.
Before I started Rooter Hero Plumbing, I was an angry young man. Hello, I'm John Aclan. I was angry because my dad died when I was 17 and he left me alone. I was angry because I couldn't go to college with my friends and because I had to drop out of high school. It's not a pleasant story. But as I grew older, I also grew up. I realized that my dad didn't leave me alone. He left me with values and principles that continue to shape my life. Dad said be on time. He didn't like it when people were late. He taught me to be polite. It was something I lost but recaptured along the way. And he taught me to keep my promises, because broken promises lead to broken relationships. We teach and keep these values at Rooter Hero Plumbing. I think we have a pretty good company. I know we have great people. And if one of our heroes fails to live up to these values, please call me. My private number is on the back of every Rooter Hero business card. You can also reach us at rooterhero.com. Thank you.
February 3rd. It's the biggest night of the year for podcast fans.
These are really some of the best and brightest and smartest and most compelling minds in the country.
Our 2022 iHeartRadio Podcast Awards. Make plans to join us on our Facebook, YouTube, and iHeartRadio stations across America.
Treasure every moment with Long John Silver's fish, chicken, and shrimp. Have your next meal shipped from our shore to your door. Or order ahead and sail past the line for pickup. Visit longjohnsilvers.com to find pickup and delivery options near you.
Portions of the following program will be recorded. I believe in what's called meatballing. It takes about half the time to come up with 90% of success or what's needed in a task. To get to the extra 10% is twice as long. Who the hell's going to do that?
Bill Handel, mornings from 6 to 10.
That's the meatball approach. You throw it all together and roll it and crunch it up. Here you go.
On KFI.
Kfi Am 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app on a Tuesday, the 4th of January. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee. Here's some of the stories we're following in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The number of patients being treated for COVID-19 in LA County has almost doubled in a week. LA County has seen delays in ambulance response to 911 calls because more employees have missed work because of COVID. AT&T and Verizon say they'll delay the new 5G wireless service for 2 weeks because of concerns related to interfere with the navigation systems on passenger planes. And Peace Project is donating money from the late Betty White American dogs to the LA Zoo for the next several days. White died in her sleep of natural causes last week at the age of 99. Right now, let's get into your biz bites. Okay, so for almost a century, GM was the top sales automaker in America, right? But it's about to be taken over by Toyota. And if you look back, Toyota has crawled and climbed because back in 2005, Toyota was the number 4 sales car in the U.S. And so now, being at the top of it, they're saying I wouldn't necessarily expect Toyota to keep this lead, but there's also saying that, look, Toyota is making strides where GM might not be doing as much, and in other words, GM, maybe this will be a quick approach for you.
Oh, sorry,
Because other automakers that just, 17 years ago, were at number 4 and now they're number 1. What are they doing that you are not doing?